is Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Senator, thanks for being here. I just want to say at the outset, you and I had a nice conversation the other day. I was very hard on you on your run for Senate, and I was too hard on you for your run for Senate. You have recovered miraculously. You are an independent, interesting voice, one that I have a lot of disagreement with, but I was wrong about you, and I want to own that publicly, and I'm really glad to have you here today on the Will Cain Show.
Oh, of course. I mean, I understand. I mean, you know, we're all in the business, and now it's like, and that's why I want to have a conversation with anyone that's playing it straight, and that's what this is going to be. And I'm delighted to be here with you all today.
Thank you. So you have urged your colleagues to follow the facts when it comes to what's happened in Minnesota. What have you learned? What do you think is the conclusion after you follow the facts?
Well, what I'm seeing is that it was a tragedy. I mean, it's absolutely, I wish it never happened. I think we could all agree on that. But it's really what's happening. It's like we step back, and now where we've brought that to. As a Democrat, when I arrived in the Senate back in 23, it was very clear to me that we are failing at our border. And if you look at the kinds of things that we've had, this has started to happen. How this is from the New York Times. That's encounters at our border, and it was skyrocketing. You know, and it's like, that's unsustainable. When you reach almost 300,000 people, that's unsustainable, and we need to. You know, as a Democrat, It shouldn't be unreasonable to want to secure our border and do it in that way. And now let's also talk about ICE. Now, absolutely, again, what happened in Minneapolis was absolutely tragic. And then now, if you think, now this is from the Washington Post. You know, this is the latest statistics. These are people that ICE now are. No, it's like now. 67% have criminal charges, pending ones, or that. So that's more than 2/3. You know, the people now there are some people that aren't involved in any kinds of illegal things. You know, but so me, I think two things can be true. You know, round up all the criminals, deport them. They shouldn't have ever been here, and they definitely have to go. And now I don't want to see more and more things happening in Minneapolis now too. So two things must be true. And I strongly reject the extreme on either side, you know, about this now. So we must be true. And, you know, I watched you earlier in your show. You just pointed out President Obama deported, you know, millions of people, and there wasn't having the same kind of outrage here, you know, here is from Democrats. And
why is that happening?
You know, I think that's,
why do you think Democratic politicians sound so different than they did as recently as President Obama, and certainly very differently than it was under Bill Clinton?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, clearly more and more, you know, I occupy a more of a difficult space where, you know, I happen to believe that things are true, and it's really reasonable thing. And now increasingly that's getting more and more difficult right now if it happens to agree with the president or with the other side in this, you know, very, very polarized kind of time. But, you know, I would rather just be very honest and just kind of play it straight. You know, I would rather be a great, honest senator than one that's just only going to play to just one side. I represent Pennsylvania, the most purple state in the country. I don't just represent Democrats. I represent 13 million Pennsylvanians, and I try to just play it straight. And I have to think I think that's my responsibility.
Senator, what do you think? And if you and I had a long conversation, it'd be interesting to explore where our agreement overlaps and where our disagreement diverges. I'm curious, what do you think your and my? There's been some people, even on this channel, that have asked you, would you ever switch over to being a Republican? And you said, no, I'm a Democrat. But I'm curious, why? Like, what do you think? And you don't know everything that I believe, but what would you suspect would be our biggest point of disagreement? What keeps you a Democrat?
Oh, it's just I'm a Democrat, and honestly, if I changed my party this afternoon, my votes really aren't going to change. It's not much different for those things. And now for me, it's again, that's why I'm trying to describe in our more and more polarized time. I try to be the voice of reason, and people stop me in public all the time just to appreciate that, whether it's a Democrat, and increasingly a lot of Republicans stop me now too. My parents, all my families are Republicans. I grew up with them in a conservative part of Pennsylvania. I never saw Fox News or people that watch Fox News or Republicans as the enemy, or that they're bad people, they're trying to destroy our Constitution or any of those things. I strongly reject that. So for me, where I'm at in this space here, as someone that represents Pennsylvania, there's going to be things like, for example, the strike in Iran. That was absolutely the right thing. I was the only Democrat that could support those things. Why can't we all agree that destroying the Iranian regime would be good for the entire region? Standing with Israel, secure our border. These are reasonable things. I would also refuse to shut our government down. Always I refuse to do that. Pay everybody, especially like the military and those folks. Those folks that had that magnificent action in Venezuela. Could you imagine those people weren't getting paid for those 45 days that our government was shut down, those things? Now, many of those decisions, hurt my standing in parts of my base, but I would rather be just play it straight rather than just try to just maybe pander or just say things that I don't actually believe in myself.
Well, more people, I think, are moving your direction. There is a new Gallup poll that shows like 45% of voters call themselves independent. It's an all-time high. I'm up against tight time, but I'm going to have you explain something to me. I'm a Texas guy. Wawa versus Sheetz. You lost. The Steelers lost. So you had to say this. You held this sign up. Wawa's better than Sheetz. So my staff was just telling me, Senator, Sheetz is like Western PA and Wawa is Eastern PA. So you're a Sheetz guy?
Well, I definitely a Sheetz guy, but I lost a bet, in that picture to the mayor of Philadelphia. But then I got a bet with my colleagues from Texas, and I was just all about he has to wear a lot of crazy kind of Steelers swag and deliver a barbecue to myself and Dave McCormick's office, but we lost. So now I have to, he is going to design, maximize kind of humiliation for me to wear Texan swag and deliver Permanis. That's a very Western Pennsylvania thing. So, I'm 0 for 2 on public bets.
That's going to be gym
NFL
shorts,
ones.
a hoodie, cowboy boots with shorts and a cowboy hat. I'm in. When that happens, I want to be there. I want to see that, Senator.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, regardless, now, my friend from Texas just confirmed that we want to maximize and make it as uncomfortable as possible when we deliver our sandwiches to his office.
All right. Well, Senator Fetterman, thank you for doing this. I hope we do it again soon, and I hope we can continue to have these interesting conversations. Thank you.
All right, let's slow this down and actually talk about what we just watched, because this interview matters more than people might realize. John Fetterman comes on the Will Cain Show, and right from the start, the tone is different. There's no shouting, no gotcha questions, no viral outrage bait. Instead, both sides agree on something that feels almost radical today. Let's follow the facts and lower the political temperature. That alone already separates this conversation from most political media. Fetterman begins by calling what happened in Minneapolis a tragedy. Full stop. No excuses, no deflection. And honestly, that's important, because acknowledging tragedy shouldn't be controversial. But what he does next is where things get interesting. He openly admits that Democrats have failed on the border. He points out that when he entered the Senate in 2023, it was already clear that border enforcement wasn't working. He cites New York Times data showing border encounters reaching nearly 300,000 people per month, calling it unsustainable. That's not right-wing rhetoric. That's reality backed by numbers. And then he moves to the most sensitive topic of all, ICE. Fetterman references Washington Post statistics showing that about 67% of people detained by ICE have criminal charges or convictions. And he makes a point that many politicians refuse to say out loud. Two things can be true at the same time. What happened was tragic, and enforcing immigration law, especially against criminals, is necessary. He says criminals who should never have been here should be deported. Period. But he also rejects the extreme narratives on both sides, whether it's pretending enforcement is always evil or pretending tragedies don't matter. That balance is exactly what's missing in today's political conversation. Will Cain then asks a critical question. Why do Democrats sound so different now compared to the Obama or Clinton years, when millions were deported with far less outrage? And Fetterman's answer is brutally honest. He says politics has become so polarized that agreeing with facts or even agreeing with the other side on anything, can make you a target within your own party. He admits he occupies an uncomfortable space because he refuses to pretend things he believes are false. And here's the key line. He says he'd rather be a great senator than a politician who just plays to one side. That explains a lot. He reminds everyone that he represents 13 million Pennsylvanians, not just Democrats. Pennsylvania is one of the most politically divided states in the country, and he takes that responsibility seriously. When asked why he remains a Democrat and doesn't switch parties, his answer is simple. His votes wouldn't change anyway. Party labels don't define his positions. Principles do. He talks about supporting Israel, securing the border, refusing government shutdowns, paying the military, and standing against regimes like Iran. These are positions that don't fit neatly into today's partisan boxes, and he knows it costs him support from parts of his base. But he says something very telling. He would rather tell the truth than pander. And maybe that's why this interview stands out. It doesn't feel scripted. It doesn't feel performative. It feels like two people disagreeing, but still listening. Even the lighthearted ending about football, food rivalries, and losing bets humanizes the whole thing. It reminds us that politics doesn't always have to be rage-driven. So whether you agree with John Fetterman or not, this interview highlights something important. More voters are rejecting extremes. In fact, nearly half of voters now identify as independents. The real question is this: is Fetterman showing genuine independence, or is this the future of politics, where survival requires honesty instead of loyalty? Let me know what you think. Drop your opinion in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, you know what to do.